I forgot. What should be the right gimbal for you to buy if at all you want to buy one? Before we go into brands and which is better, which is cheaper, let's just understand the exact job of a gimbal and what it's supposed to do. Say for instance you're shooting with your smartphone. When you actually move, what generally happens, as you may have noticed, is the camera goes left, right, up, down. There's a lot of movement which cannot be controlled and the final video looks crappy and jerky and bad. A gimbal pretty much stabilizes your camera frame and phone whenever you're moving. So its job is simple. If you're sleeping, jumping, running, walking, bending, doing anything, the camera lens always has to point straight. If you set it in a particular way, whatever you do, it will point up or down or straight or at you, whichever. A gimbal stabilizes all sorts of movement to keep your camera as still as possible. In short, that's what it's supposed to do. Now that said, when you actually walk and move, the camera tends to move in three directions, pretty much. One is the up and down movement. When you walk, catcher, that up down movement keeps happening. The second is the left and right, the sideways movement. That also happens, right, when we walk, because we sort of tend to roll when we walk. And the third is the orbiting movement. So there's that uneven circular thing, then shake at times. So all of that, those things are happening. So a gimbal pretty much needs to move in three different axes to be able to stabilize it. The first axis is it should be able to stabilize movement from top to bottom. So at least that movement it should be able to handle. Let's call it axis 1. The second is it should be able to handle the sideways movement, the left to right, right to left. Let's call that axis 2. And the third ways is the orbital movement or the diagonal or circular or whichever sort of a movement. Let's call that axis 3. Now typically in the market there are two kinds of gimbals, a 2-axis gimbal and a 3-axis gimbal. Both are excellent. I'll not name any brands. Actually a 3-axis gimbal works best because a 2-axis gimbal, while it does each and everything a gimbal should, it's not able to control the sideways movement, which is your left to right. So invariably what will happen with the 2-axis gimbal is that when you're walking and taking a shot, the camera will look completely stabilized, but it will just go left to right, it will jitter like that, which you don't want and which looks horrible unless planned. That said, it makes the wisest sense to buy a 3-axis gimbal because it will give the smoothest movement and control every sort of movement, every possible sort of a movement. If you're using a device like a gimbal, what is recommended is that you go with a 3-axis gimbal because it provides you the best chance at stabilization over a 2-axis gimbal. One thing you'll have to get used to is stabilizing the gimbal, and it's a good exercise in patience. I like it, helps me build patience. So my recommendation would be a 3-axis gimbal, and that's all I would like to say on that. Hope this helps you understand a bit about how gimbals work and which one you should go with to get the best result. Do let us know what you thought about this.